Alright, let's use today's video to talk about Attack on Titan 3. This is the newly announced third entry in Omega Force's adaptation of the legendary anime and manga franchise. The game is currently in development for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC via Steam. Unlike previous entries that only covered portions of the story, Attack on Titan 3 aims to depict the entire anime narrative from the fall of Walmaria all the way through the series' conclusion. Omega Force describes the game as the culmination of the franchise's action game adaptations and the definitive way to experience the story in video game form. Players can expect the return of the series' signature omnidirectional mobility gear, ODM gear, combat system alongside battles against the 9 Titans, and entirely new story content not present in previous titles. Now, just aside from doing research for this video, there isn't much that I know about the Attack on Titan games series. I just recently watched the anime for the first time, actually. I finished it last month. We're not even going to get into that just yet. We'll get into that later in the video. But just based on what I've seen, this seems to be the complete anime in one package as opposed to previous titles. They could not be defined as a definitive version of the game because those games, Attack on Titan 1 and 2, they only included portions of the story, whereas 3 goes all the way up from the onset to the first invasion within the walls of the Colossal Titan all the way up to the ending that we all are so fond of. So this is probably the first game, not even probably, this is the first game that's not restricted by unfinished source material, because in the first 2, the anime was still ongoing and there were still things that need to be included, whereas with this one, it's completely done, it's finished, so everything that happened and transpired in the actual story as we were watching it, we can finally actually play that firsthand in this new upcoming game. Now, the original Attack on Titan primarily adapted the events of the anime's first season. Attack on Titan 2 expanded coverage through Season 2 and later received the Final Battle expansion, which introduced portions of Season 3 content. Attack on Titan 3 represents the first opportunity for Omega Force to build a game around the complete narrative rather than releasing expansions as the anime progressed. The announcement trailer and official material suggests improvements to ODM traversal and combat systems, promising faster movement and more acrobatic engagements than previous titles. The inclusion of the final arcs also introduces gameplay opportunities that simply did not exist in previous games, including large-scale military warfare, advanced weaponry, airships, and battles involving all of the 9 Titans. So this presents a clear opportunity for bigger scale battles and encounters and to truly bring you into that world of Attack on Titan where you're engaging in these large scale environments and there's just mass conflict going on simultaneously as opposed to just one-on-one fighting with just kill the giant Titan type of thing. You know, it's more variety than just that mentality. And this is potentially the largest evolution of the series. I would expect so because this is the definitive edition of the game. This is the epitome of the series' game franchise because it includes the entire story and includes all the 9 Titans. It includes aspects of the game's narrative that we have not seen in prior titles. So this will be something that true Attack on Titan fans is going to truly love and at the same time be conflicted about because of how the story progresses and then how it culminates. But at the same time, at least you can go through that in video game format as if you're actually playing the anime in real time as if you were watching it. So it will be a nice dynamic for them to include this definitive edition of Attack on Titan. Now, what changes would fans want to see in Attack on Titan 3 that was not present in the initial 2 games? One of most common community requests is a substantial improvement to ODM gear movement physics. While previous games captured the fantasy of flying through cities and forests, many players felt movement became automated or repetitive during longer play sessions. Fans are hoping for greater manual control over momentum and anchor placement, aerial maneuvers, and environmental interaction. Another major question surrounds character creation. Attack on Titan 2 featured an original protagonist who interacted with the main cast, and opinions remain divided on whether this system should return. Some players want the emotional authenticity that comes from controlling established characters, while others want to insert themselves into the world as members of the Survey Corps. Community discussions remain split on this issue. Players are also hoping for larger battlefields, improved destruction systems, expanded co-op options, and greater mission variety. Now, as I mentioned, I haven't played the Attack on Titan games and I just recently watched the series, but based on what I've seen from the trailers of the first two Attack on Titan games, I can clearly see where there's room for improvement with the ODM gear. It doesn't seem like it is as realistic, so to speak, as the anime made it seem, and as the Attack on Titan 3 makes it seem. It seems like it's far more refined in this newly game that's going to come out. And I can also see on the first two games the environments are more restrictive, if anything. Like I saw one scene where Eren is fighting against Reina, and I think it's in, I forget what part of the setting they are exactly. I can't remember if it was Wall Maria, if it was Wall Sinai. I can't remember which one it was, but it was when Eren and Reina were fighting, and they're just in this one city block. It's very confined to this one area, and the amount of destruction and the amount of interactivity that you have with the environment, it looked incredibly limited. So I can see how there's substantial room for improvement there. And I already alluded towards how the environments don't seem as nearly as much as destructive as they should have been, because these are two colossally sized beings that initially began as just people who can transform into these large beings, but then for some reason a building isn't getting toppled over or a city street isn't getting decimated. It just doesn't seem realistic in that aspect. So I can see why the criticisms for wanting more destruction and wanting more environmental impact is something that's presently discussed amongst Attack on Titan gamers who play these games. When it comes to the create a character mechanic returning, and this is just someone as who just recently just watched it, I'm not necessarily sure that is both right and or necessary to include a created character in this game and in this story nonetheless, because Attack on Titan, you get so lost and immersed in it because of the people who are presently in it, and they are in this world that just seems so bleak and so helpless and hopeless that there's nothing that you can do. And to just insert someone into that who don't interact with these characters who you've grown to love, who doesn't have a hand in this story that is already trying and already heartbreaking and already something that just grabs your attention, it's kind of like, well, why are you here? How do you actually even fit into this? And there's also the thing, like, do we even need you here? We don't. We don't need this your own create a character function, because in truth be told, a lot of people want to play as the characters who are native to the anime. People want to play as Jean. People want to play as Eren. People want to play as Mikasa. People want to play as Armin. No one, I'm not going to say no one, but I would argue that there's far more people who want to play as the original characters than there are people who want to create their own character and live within that world. It just doesn't seem like it's synonymous and that it synergizes well with the overall Attack on Titan gaming identity that they have going on here, and I just don't think there's a good mesh. I think they can do well without that. If they bring it back, I'm sure people won't complain too bad. They're going to complain regardless, but maybe not too bad, because this is the definitive edition of the Attack on Titan gaming series. But I would argue that the create on character feature isn't needed. In regards to multiplayer, I'm not a big proponent of multiplayer games, but it would seem that this title might include more of an expansive multiplayer experience. Perhaps you having multiple people wielding ODM gears, controlling those different characters, fighting a Titan, or perhaps you're an ODM gear scout and then there's another person who is a Titan themselves and you're fighting in that regard. So there are different possibilities that could present itself for multiplayer, but I'm secretly hoping that's not in the game. So, and as far as the inclusion of the 9 Titans, having them in this game can completely change the gameplay. Previous entries largely focus on standard Titan combat using ODM gear. Attack on Titan 3's inclusion of the franchise's final arcs means the 9 Titans will likely occupy a much larger gameplay role. Each intelligent Titan possesses distinct strengths, abilities, and combat styles that could translate into entirely different gameplay systems. The possibility of playable Titan transformations represents one of the most exciting aspects of the sequel. If fully implemented, Titan gameplay could effectively function as multiple character classes within the same action game. I can only imagine the nightmarish runs that people will have if this game truly does have a multiplayer feature, or just in the single player campaign when you're fighting the Titans. I can only imagine how annoying and sickening it will be to fight the Jaw Titan. I really hate Galliard. I don't know why. I don't like him. I hate him with a passion. And the Jaw Titan specifically is so agile, is so quick, as the powerful mouth to just crush you with in the jaws, and that's going to make for a hectic time and a hectic experience when you have that enemy encounter with him. But it just goes to show that it's going to be fun and it's going to be immersive to truly play as all the playable Titans. At least that's what we're hoping, that you can play as all 9 of them, because that will truly change the gameplay. They all have their own unique combat styles. You could have someone like the Jaw Titan who is agile, who is quick, the Colossal Titan who is slow but has this nuclear explosion when he transforms. You could have the Attack Titan or the Female Titan that are more so hand-to-hand combat and aggressive. You can have the Armored Titan that's based on defense. So there's just a plethora of different possibilities that they have with the game, with the implementation of the 9 Titans into the gameplay. The boss battles, they'll be like unlike anything before, because not only are you playing as members of the Survey Corps, but you could be playing as an Aaron or playing as some other Titan who you're fighting a Titan, or maybe it's reverse where you're fighting the Survey Corps. So there's just endless opportunities for them to innovate the gameplay with the inclusion of all 9 of the Titans. I think the Beast Titan alone could be pretty incredible, even though I hate Zeke. I don't like him. I think that could be pretty cool too. And hopefully they give him some sort of mechanic other than him just hurling rocks, because I was kind of underwhelmed with him in the anime when it came to his fighting style specifically. Like, I get it, when you watch the show, you realize, okay, you're throwing these rocks because of something that happened in your past. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the Attack on Titan anime, but it's like, come on, man. Can y'all see some fist-to-fist combat with you? You're tall for no reason. You're just throwing stuff, okay? I get you're strong, but come on. But it's just truly incredible for the inclusion for all 9 of these Titans, because the trailer depicts it. There was even the Warhammer Titan that was even in the trailer, so it's going to be nice to play as all of them if that's truly a component and a feature of Attack on Titan 3. So I guess, what does this mean for the franchise? Attack on Titan 3 arrives at an interesting juncture for the franchise because the anime and manga have both been concluded. Rather than existing as promotional material for an ongoing series, this game has the opportunity to become the definitive interactive adaptation of Hajime Isayama's story. Success could encourage Omega Force and Koei Tecmo to continue exploring the universe through original stories, spin-offs, or alternate perspectives. Conversely, the game's marketing strongly suggests that this is intended to be the final chapter of the current game trilogy, which is what I want ideally. Now, me personally, I both think and want this to be the end of an era, because just the way Attack on Titan ends, you don't necessarily want to play as anyone other than the characters who are involved in the story. It's not the ending we wanted, but it's the ending we needed, because it propels such an amazing story forward into the cementing of something that will be definitive and long-lasting and seen as one of the best animes ever created. I think this is the final game. I think this series will be comprised of a trilogy. There won't be a 4, there won't be a 5, there won't be anything other than this. This is truly going to be the culmination of the story, because what else could you do after this? This is going to be from the onset all the way up to the end. When you hover over a game on the PlayStation home menu, there's always a short message on it. For example, with God of War, it says embrace a bold new beginning. When it comes to the new God of War, Lao Fei, it says find your way home. When it comes to this game specifically, it says prepare for the farewell. That's exactly what Attack on Titan is once you see that final season, because you're preparing the entire time. You just don't know it because of the extensive amount of foreshadowing that is present in that series. You are preparing to say goodbye to these characters you have grown to love and you have grown to want certain outcomes and things for, and who you harbor these expectations, and it just doesn't pan out the way that we want it to, which isn't a bad thing, because objectively I think it is a masterpiece. This could open the door to spin-offs, but quite frankly I don't want it to, not unless it speaks more on the main characters. Maybe if it's a spin-off about Eren and Mikasa, maybe if it's a spin-off about Armin and Annie, and maybe if it's just a one-time thing, maybe like a movie, but not an entire series. I don't think people are gonna watch it, of course, but I don't think they're gonna be as truly captured by it as the original was. There truly is nothing like an origin story, and this by far is one of the most amazing stories I've ever seen, whether a book, a movie, a video game, anything. Attack on Titan, the way they tell a story with the foreshadowing, with the way that it's a love story without any romance, with the way that it just captures you with suspense and horror and hopelessness in this dire situation. I've never seen anything like it. It's truly unprecedented, and I don't think that can ever be replicated by any media works, period. So I think this could become a benchmark for anime adaptations, and I'm a Dragon Ball guy. That will always be my #1 anime, but just the way Attack on Titan tells a story and the way that this is just objectively a masterpiece. So just to wrap this up here, Attack on Titan 3 feels less like another sequel and more like the culmination of nearly a decade of experimentation by Omega Force. For the first time, the developers have access to the complete source material, modern hardware, and years of player feedback regarding movement, combat, and progression systems. If the studio successfully delivers on improved ODM gameplay and fully realizes the scale of the final arcs, Attack on Titan 3 could become not only the best Attack on Titan game, but one of the strongest anime game adaptations ever released. So irregardless of whatever route they take, the potential here with the culmination of this game's story, it's enormous. What they could do, the possibilities that they have. This feels like Omega Force's victory lap, so to speak, because this is the final hoorah. This is the last game. We have all the source material. We've seen the story. We see how it began, how it ends. The franchise deserves a definitive game, and I think this would be something to kind of prolong and just cap off the already staunch and persevering and incredible legacy that Attack on Titan already has. This may be the final chance to get it right, because for one, I don't foresee that there'll be more games after this. I think it concludes with a trilogy. I think they will get it right. I think all the feedback and criticisms that they have been sitting on for years is something that they're going to implement into this next title. They just need more time to optimize it. And what's even more interesting is that we actually will get an update on this game tomorrow, I believe, because in the Attack on Titan 3 reveal trailer that aired at Summer Game Fest when it premiered, it said at the conclusion of the trailer that the next scouting report will be on July 1st, 2026. Initially, I thought, okay, that's when it released. But I said, wait, no, scouting report. So it's probably an update or a briefing of the game's progress. So we should be receiving some more information about the game and how it's coming along tomorrow. And just something I would like to ask you guys is, would you rather play the story as Eren and the main cast, or would you rather create your own scout and experience the events from a new perspective? I, for one, know which one I would choose, and it definitely is not the latter. So regardless of whether we agree or disagree, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Harlem. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.